Welcome everyone to the Soul Aligned Business Babe podcast. Oh, we just got a little friend join us here, a little doggy. I have a beautiful guest today, which I am so excited to talk to. Ashmi Pathela is an artist and author who left a thriving career in Silicon Valley to follow her heart. During her travels, she experienced an awakening that showed her a new way of being, from forcing to allowing, from doubt to trust, discovering the magic of aligning her life with her soul essence. And her book, Awakening the Heart of Humanity, is a tribute to this unprecedented time of global awakening. She writes to support others on their journey back to their hearts and impact in her Instagram, which I love, which is how I found you, at ashmi.path. Everyone needs to check it out. And just in case you don't know Ashmi, I've actually already mentioned your Instagram a couple of times on my podcast. So my listeners are familiar with it, because when I found you, your words just spoke to my soul. So welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Susan. I love how we've connected just synchronistically, and yeah, I'm super excited to see what comes out.
Yeah, and you've had, and like I said, I mean, your words, like your writing, it's so beautiful. It's clearly so channeled. And like I said, I don't know how I came across your Instagram account, but the words just, like I said, just spoke to my soul, which is so beautiful. So maybe just start by telling everyone a little bit about your journey and how you arrived to where you are now. You know, a little bit about your journey in whatever way you want to share.
It has been quite the journey, where I was completely unrecognizable to who I am now. Just 5 years ago, I had a career in Silicon Valley in the tech field in California. And I was a total workaholic, hustling every day, super passionate about what I was doing, but I gave my heart and soul to it. And I was completely burnt out by the end of it. I remember waking up with heart palpitations and just so much, anxiety coursing through my body. I didn't even know what it felt like to feel at peace, or connected to my heart. Even on the weekends, it took me forever to realize how far I had gone from my true essence and my voice inside, the voice of the heart. And so at that point, I realized I couldn't see myself continuing on that path. And I realized I wanted to take a step back and listen to my heart and figure out, what is it that I truly want to experience in this life? Who do I want to be? And I guess most importantly, how do I want to feel? And it came clear to me, I was 25 then, so felt like, or 27, I guess. I felt like I wanted to travel solo around the world, build my own kind of business, although it was more so following those breadcrumbs into discovering my purpose, because I was still very purpose driven and still searching outside of me for that fulfillment. But along the way, it started becoming this journey back to my heart, this inward journey of awakening, reconnecting with my spirit. And I've completely changed what I do, how I think, my priorities. Everything's changed.
Yeah, I love that. And I can certainly relate to that. I'm sure so many listeners as well. I tend to attract a lot of women that have come from corporate backgrounds and I remember as well, like when I would take a holiday, I would need 5 days to just actually relax. It wasn't probably until day 5 or 6 that I actually felt like I could relax. Before that, I was still just in this sort of rushing hustle sort of feeling. It was like, what do I need to do? Where do I need to be? I couldn't just chill. I just, experience those sort of heart palpitations, or just feeling like I had to be doing something all the time, right? If I'm not productive, if I'm not doing something, then I'm not, I don't know, I just didn't know what else to do. And so, this journey that you've been on, there's obviously a lot of people on the planet right now just realizing this, the way we've been conditioned as a society to just fit into these molds and work and hustle. It's not the way to fulfillment. And so I guess, I'd love you to talk a bit more about even how you, sort of connected to your heart, or the realizations and awarenesses that you've made along this journey that's helped you to find that inner peace, you know, to help you to connect to your heart?
That wound up nervous system actually took me about 2.5 years to fully relax.
Yeah.
And yes, early in my journey, I felt more relaxation, more spaciousness. But I realized that hustle mindset or need to continue to produce and achieve, to feel good about myself, to feel productive, that took about 2.5 years to really see and sit with. And there were moments where I totally felt like I was stuck and in limbo, because I made a decision at one point, okay, I'm going to stop freelancing for clients in Silicon Valley. I'm going to say no more to the safety net, this illusion of the safety net that, okay, one more month, I'll continue on, you know, one more month. And I finally said goodbye to those clients. And usually the knee-jerk reaction is, okay, what's my next project? What am I going to create next? So I feel like I'm making these concrete steps towards where I want to go. And I saw myself doing that. But when I felt into my body and that season I was in, I was completely exhausted, uninspired, unmotivated. So I felt like the true leap, the true shift would come from me loving myself as I am without having to do anything or to produce anything, without having any projects, maybe for the first time since I was 15 or even younger. And allowing myself to sit in that limbo space, no matter how uncomfortable it was, no matter how many times my brain went into self-doubt and criticizing myself. I saw something there, though, in sitting in this limbo space, my greatest gifts will come through. In loving myself as I am, even when I feel bad about myself, that's where my greatest leaps will come. And I know a lot of people on this journey often feel the limbo space come in, especially when you're leaving this at least structured, predictable, concrete world of the conventional matrix, and trying to take a leap of faith into something more your heart's calling you towards, but you don't know exactly what it looks like or what it is. There is a huge process of shedding the layers, and really it is a death of your old self. So it feels super scary and uncomfortable and vulnerable. But to me, it's the rebirth. You know, you're rising and you can bloom from that space. The more you embrace it without kind of watching when you judge yourself, but trying not to resist that space you're in and telling yourself, no, this is for my greatest expansion. This is where so much is being unraveled layer by layer. Yeah.
Yeah, that limbo space, like, I don't even know if it's ever just once, right? It's like that anytime you feel that pull to shift something, to just make a change, that limbo space is the hardest, right? And it's something that I've kind of gone through this year, not sort of to the same extent of completely like, you know, making that leaving everything behind, so to speak, but very much I spent a lot of this year being in that limbo space where it's like I knew things had to change. You know, I had to let go of how I was doing things, and there is absolutely this time of like not knowing what that next step is, not knowing what it looks like. And for a lot of people, they just can't handle it, right? A lot of people just cannot possibly go through that. They just don't have that that resilience to trust. So I guess how did you find that? How did you find that inner strength, or that trust, or that knowing? Like, how did you know? How did you know to trust it? How did you know to keep going? And
the funny thing is, I found it through my weakness, being in the fetal position, paralyzed, saying, I don't know what I'm doing. Did I mess up? Where am I going? Is this life going to support me? When you do that, all your fears, everything you thought you healed, the deepest layers of your psyche are going to come up full force like huge dragons for you to see. And people actually, when you see that or feel that you might think, oh, I'm going backwards. I'm doubting myself again. I'm going even further backwards than where I thought I was. And you might think you're doing something wrong or you're just failing, but it's actually in feeling those fears and seeing them and in loving yourself through it, that's when you alchemize them. That's when you reach for a better idea or thought. And for me, it was in meditation or sitting in ceremony and really letting myself feel my heart. It wasn't like this 24/7, but in the glimpses, like maybe just 10 minutes a day or 1 hour a week, where I did hear that voice of, keep going, you are so strong, you're on the right track. And another thing my mind did that really helped me was, okay, let's imagine this is just an experiment. What if I could live the life of my dreams? And what if it could support me? And what if following my heart is the path of more synchronicity, ease, abundance, flow? What if it's true what you read about in these books that these great people have written about manifestation? I just wanted to feel it for myself, and letting it be just a temporary experiment allowed me to take pressure off of, okay, 5 years from now, if it's not working, I can change track. But the amazing thing is, once you start opening to the possibilities instead of focusing on the limitation, you start seeing that you are supported and little things will happen, or synchronistic opportunities or ideas will come in. And I gain that trust with every baby step. But it's almost like you can't gain it unless you take a tiny baby step. If you're just waiting to feel that trust and confidence, you're just going to be in that state of waiting. But just follow your excitement one little baby step at a time, trusting it's leading to something more, without being so attached to how it has to look or how it has to feel immediately.
Yeah. And that absolutely comes from, and it's, something I've been talking a lot with clients about. It's just self-acceptance of who you are right now, right? It's with, knowing that you don't have to achieve anything to be enough. You don't have to create anything to be enough, that you're enough no matter what right now. But I love what you said there too about the what if. And it's, something that I even encourage clients to sort of journal on, like, what if I could? What if I could? It's like playing the what if game. Oh my God, what if I could do this? What if I could do that? What if it was that easy? Like allowing yourself to go there. Like, what if? Because often we get caught up in this sort of manifestation world of having to believe everything, right? Having to believe it before you see it. But just what if you could follow the what ifs? Like, what if you could just follow that fun, that joy? Where would that lead? And something else which again, I has helped me on my journey, and others as well. It's actually asking yourself, a little bit like when you said it was your kind of lowest moments or your weakness, it's where you found things, like actually asking yourself, what's the worst possible thing that could happen in this scenario? Because often the failure to move is fear, right? It's fear. And it's fear that stops us. And so when we explore, well, what's the worst thing that could happen? Like if I gave up my job, I moved away, I tried something else, what's the worst thing that could happen? Well, the worst thing that could happen is it doesn't work out and you move back and you get another job. Do you know what I mean? And when you actually like look at the worst case scenario, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? It's like, it's manageable. And because it's often just this fear, it's really just the fear of the unknown, I think, that stops a lot of people.
And it's not so black and white, where if you're not feeling comfortable with taking a leap and completely quitting your job and just following your heart, that can be really scary. And it's about, okay, what can I do in 1 hour of my free time this week? Or what can I do that is expansive, that will help me kind of follow those nudges and just see where it flows. And one thing I wanted to say is my vision or idea of purpose, finding your purpose, quote unquote, has changed drastically, because in the conventional matrix, we define our purpose, who we are, by these labels of what you do or your industry or your service that you provide. And when we often, those who are seeking the path of their heart, who are awakening to the idea that there's more, you might still fall into those patterns, that habit of defining, okay, I'm going to be this, and it's a label, another box, another career. And the truth is, we are multidimensional, and we are remembering we have these unique gifts and an essence, and they cannot be really described in one thing that you do.
I know, in an Instagram bio.
Yeah, in an Instagram bio, you can try, but it's more about who you are and following the joy to express who you are. You came here to experience life as a human and experience all that you are and express yourself. But how that looks might change over time. And you don't need to predict it or know what the end version of that is going to look like. So a concrete example is, I always imagined I would be an artist and author, and see how those are still labels. But the biggest thread, the biggest breadcrumb I followed was the feeling of what I love, which is translating my zest for life, the way I see the world, this beauty, translating consciousness into form. And it can look like writing, it can look like art, it can look like me speaking on this podcast or doing monthly ceremonies. But I couldn't have told you this is everything I'd be doing, on day one, or even the third year, or even a year ago. So instead of trying to define, okay, I am now this, just ask yourself, what is my highest excitement? How does it feel? What does it look like right now? And just imagine that's the first breadcrumb. And as you indulge in that and soak in it, the idea or the next breadcrumb will come in. And it will all add, it is all perfect for your expansion. Because for me, like, I started with just painting again and connecting to my heart through painting just for fun. And those paintings ended up, going into my book, which I didn't even know I would write until a year or two later. And the confidence I gained from that process of speaking my truth helped me grow my following on Instagram, and one thing after another. But I could never have planned any of it.
Yes. And that's what I love. When you tune in to following your heart and listening to the nudges, it's like your highest potential, you can't know that in your human form, right? You can't know that. But there's, Abraham Hicks talks about the vortex, right? Talks about this vortex. And I heard this great way of describing it the other day, that, someone said, so are we putting all our desires into this vortex? And the vortex is like mixing them all together and giving us the perfect ideas. And Abraham said, no. It's like your whole life causes all your experience, your whole life causes you to have preferences of, I love this, I don't love that. I love this, I don't love that. And those all mix together. And then we receive ideas. We receive desires. So when you're receiving a little idea, a little intuitive hit, that is your guidance from your higher self of all the preferences that you've created over a lifetime, and it's leading the way, right? It's leading the way. And the things that are going to bring us the most joy and fulfillment, we don't even know, right? We have no idea. And the thing is, the intuition, so I often say to clients, like, your intuition usually doesn't make sense, right? It usually doesn't make sense, but it's always guiding you. It knows what you can't see. It can see the unknown, like your higher self or your inner being or your heart, whatever you want to call it. Like, it sees what you can't see, and it's guiding the way. And like you said, that your purpose is always unfolding. It's not a one-time thing. It's like expansion over a lifetime, right? So let's talk about that expansion.
Yeah. Oh, so I feel like this is a new area I'm playing in now. And it was this clear shift, I guess, 3 or 4 months ago, where I did an online ceremony called Embodying Expansion. And we played with the feeling of expansion and really breathing and allowing our nervous system to feel relaxed and safe with the idea of being seen. So visualizing our light spreading around the world and feeling safe to be you and be seen. And also playing with the energy of abundance in all forms, and how does that feel, and communicating with it, saying anything you need to say and receiving a message back. And since that, I feel like I also, in my personal life, I could see the shift where before I was still resisting expansion. It's funny because you think you want it. You think you want to embody all that you are. You want to be seen. You want your work to take off and be felt around the world. But I could clearly see all these fears around it. For example, no, I don't really want my writing to take off and my following to grow so quickly, because more people will see me and then they'll judge me, and then I'll have so many more messages to respond to. And right now my energy can't hold that responsibility, and it feels like it'll be too much busy work again and hustling, and I don't want that. So I had all these negative kind of subconscious beliefs around what expansion felt like that pushed it off and only allowed me to expand at the rate I could hold, my energy could hold. But then there was a shift where I started playing with, again, that what if expanding could feel good? What if I could feel more easeful? What if I could feel even more calm and trusting, and I feel safe being seen? And playing with that, just feeling it and imagining it, even for a day, helped shift the momentum. And it's funny how the universe works, but literally that's when my following started going up exponentially. And it's not about the numbers, but I'm just sharing as a energetic reflection of my inner state shifting. Yeah. And I've noticed myself less filtered when I was writing, and I noticed myself less aware or even seeing any negative comments, and being more kind to myself. And more ideas came in, and yeah, of course, abundance follows that too. But I'm sharing this journey because I've been so intimately tied to the struggle part of the beginning of my journey, where I was really in the self-doubt, in the limbo space. And now I'm really surrendering to the expansion space, which brings in a whole new set of fears, feelings, thoughts, ideas, things I need to think about that I didn't have to worry about before. So hopefully this will speak to people who are either stepping into this themselves, or who just want to feel what's on the other side of limbo, because the momentum will come, and it's almost like, be careful what you wished for, be careful what you asked the universe for, because when you're really ready, and when that readiness is embodied in you, instead of just your brain saying, okay, I want it, bring it in, it will come in, and almost so fast that I actually felt at times like it's way too fast. I can't handle it. Like I'm suddenly overwhelmed, and needing to find ways to create ease and gratitude and scale. I guess in terms of the business side, needing more tools to scale, needing more support, to do what I used to do on a smaller scale. So it's interesting, but I'm learning that expansion can be fun and safe and easeful as well.
It's so interesting that you just said all of those things now, because I just recorded a podcast yesterday all about feeling safe to scale. And it was, I use the word scale rather than expansion, but it's very much the same sort of thing. Like for a lot of people, logically, they want more, right? However you call it, whether you call it expansion or success or abundance, people want more, but most people don't feel safe, right? Most people don't feel safe to expand, because when you think about the growth, like the exposure, like it brings up fears, right? It's like, I'm afraid of being seen. What will, people judge me? Can I handle it? Can I handle it? More people in my world, all of those things. And the only way to truly expand is to be able to make peace, and to know that it is safe to expand, and there are ways that we can there are ways we can work through all of those things, right? There are
Mm-hmm.
ways we can work through all of those things.
Yeah, and I'm also playing with this idea of it doesn't have to be rushed, right? So I can still achieve, or I don't really like that word, I can still experience all that I wish to experience and be all that I wish to be. And it can move fast, and that can be easeful, not stressful. And it also can move slowly, and that can be delicious instead of stressful, or what is it, slow, and you feel stuck, right? But it can be the savoring. So, and knowing that you will have seasons that feel energized and creative and accelerated, and you feel really ready to hold that, and some seasons where you'll want to go back inward. So I'm playing with that and remembering that even if these things, now I'm getting lots of opportunities or requests for interviews and ideas, and people saying you should write this kind of book or this. I'm like, oh, I wish I could say yes to it all, but I actually have to be clear now about what is a full yes in my heart for this season in my life. And the more you follow your heart and soul, the more you align with yourself and your essence, you're actually only going to start attracting things that are already aligned. Like the path will narrow. In the beginning, it's going to be a decision between maybe your old job and your heart. So you'll have opportunities pulling you back into kind of the matrix or something that your ego or mind might want. But as you follow this path, it's like everything that's coming in now is super aligned, super high resonance and exciting for me. So it's not a question of deciding, is it aligned or not? It's a question of, is it a full yes for my heart right now or not? And in this process, I've realized I did so many one-on-one sessions and podcast interviews. I kind of did get a bit burnt out. And I realized, okay, I need more spaciousness to create right now. And I need spaciousness to focus on my book. I'm doing an audio book and the next edition of my book and things like that. So saying no to certain things for now is totally okay. Yeah.
And that's a huge part of expansion, is that as we grow, there are new standards and boundaries that we need to put in place. Like it can, when we start to expand, all the things can feel exciting and we want to say, yes, 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 give me more. And then you get to a certain point where you feel a bit overwhelmed and feel a bit exhausted by it all. It's like, it's too much. And so then it's about, and like you said, it's about cycles. It's about seasons. It's about realizing, okay, what is that full yes for me right now? There is no shortage of opportunities, right? There's no shortage of things coming to you. So honoring what that expansion looks like for you and what you want to really say yes to. And knowing that that's leading you, on your highest path, on your highest journey.
And remembering that the biggest thing I've ever wanted is feeling good now, like this peace and contentment and feeling connected to my heart and soul, embodying my higher self, this beauty that is present now. So how can I hold that and carry that with me in every moment, even as I expand, without being so urgent or having to pull in the next thing and the next thing and the future goal, when I'm already sitting in a life that was beyond my wildest dreams 5 years ago. It's really critical for me to not sacrifice or lose sight of what I wanted in the first place. Yeah.
And recognizing that recognizing that I'm just kind of lost my train of thought. Recognizing that you get to do things your way, right? You get to do things your way. So expansion doesn't need to mean anything, right? So obviously your Instagram following has been insane. It's like, I think when we spoke a while ago, you said it went from like 1,000 to 100,000 in like a year or something insane, right? And so you're probably getting a lot of DMs, a lot of people messaging you. And so you get to choose how you want to respond, if you want to respond. You know, this is the thing with expansion, like we're limitless beings. Like society teaches us things have to be done a certain way. But when you listen to your heart and trust that you'll be guided, you'll know the right thing to do, the answers will be shown to you. It's about trusting that no matter what, you'll be led, right? You'll be guided, like you'll know the right thing to do. So no matter what happens, you're on the right path and you will be led. But you know, when we can release, like I said, any conditioning and old stories about how things need to be done, that's when the true freedom comes in, right?
That's beautiful. I love that. And it is about making your own rules as you go, and defining as you go. And my expansion doesn't have to look like someone else's definition of expansion, or just because someone else on a similar path is doing something, I don't have to make that my vision of what success looks like. And always checking in with yourself. Okay, what do I want to feel? How do I want to be? What do I want to experience? Yeah.
And not living from any obligation, you know, any feeling of I have to do it like this, right? You get to choose, you get to do it your way. And so, and what's, I don't know, what would be one of the biggest lessons, or the biggest couple of lessons that you feel that if you could just kind of like bring it all into a couple of things, what have been the biggest couple of things that you've really learned or uncovered over these last couple of years, few years?
One big one was early in my journey, I was desperate to gain this confirmation of, okay, it's safe to follow my heart. This limbo space is not forever. I was wondering, like, will I be in this cycle of self-doubt forever and ever and ever? It's like one day I'm feeling high and excited and positive and ready, and the next day I'm back in my fears and paralysis of self-doubt. And I went through that cycle thousands of times, to the point where I was so sick of it, and just so sick of the broken record player in my head. And my partner Joel probably was the same, because I'd have to like talk through it with him every single time. But I wish I knew all these things, of these assurances. No, it's safe. This is how it works. This is how the universe works. But what I know now is, yes, it's all true, but you're not going to fully feel it and believe it until you take those baby steps yourself. You can search outside of you all you want for confirmation, but the greatest, most beautiful confirmation is in your own life experience, in you seeing yourself through the challenges and all the learnings you're going to have, seeing your growth, seeing your own shifts, and really looking back and seeing how far you've come. That's when you will have this unshakable trust of, wow, I experienced this. This is how it works. And that trust is earned step by step, and you're already doing it even as you sit in your challenges. So yeah, just believe that you are on your path. You are expanding. This is how our souls work. We've come here to expand. And even when you feel like you're going backwards, you're still rising. Yeah,
I love that. And that knowing, actually, just what you said there, is so powerful, that, you know, no matter what happens, right? No matter what happens, even if you feel like today, in the next couple of months, next year, even if you feel like you lose it all, right? Like your whole life crumbles and dissolves and you look like it's all falling apart, your job, your house, your boyfriend, whatever, all the things, if you feel like you lose it all, you're never going backwards, because you're always taking with you everything you've learned, the growth and the expansion, and nothing can take that away from you. Right? Nothing can take that away from you. I mean, I know this is a completely different topic. I was talking to a girlfriend today, and we met through a network marketing business. Her career was working in a hospital, and she kind of, you know, gave the job away, quit it all, and kind of went on her own journey. And, you know, she's about to start a laundromat business, which has nothing at all to do with anything she's ever done before. She's like, I'm just figuring, you know, I've just been figuring it all out for myself. And this is the thing I said to her. I'm like, you're a grown-ass woman in your 40s with a lot of life experience. Of course you're figuring shit out. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't need to have done this before. You've got a lifetime, actually lifetimes of experience helping you when you go into new things. You know, whenever we approach new things, we take so much knowledge and experience with us.
That's amazing. And, you know, this fear that you're not good enough or you're not ready or you don't know enough, if you have that desire, you are good enough. And you don't need a qualification. Like in the Matrix, we think you need to be certified or have this training, and maybe so in some professions, like, you know, doctors, or you don't want to just do surgery with no experience. But for most things, and most things that are calling your soul, like you said, we have lifetimes of experience, and your experience isn't even in your abilities, or they cannot be defined simply in a resume. It's in your energy, it's in how you love, it's in how you speak, even the tone, it's in how you make people feel or how you see the world. It could be a million different things. It's in your connection to nature and animals. And we don't realize, because we've been living in a world that tries to fit us into boxes, we are so vastly unique. And the things that you're just so naturally good at, you might not even realize, because you just are it. You just do it without thinking. And to someone else, it is such a magical gift.
Yeah, I love that. And that's absolutely, like, so many people overlook their unique gifts, because it's just like, well, of course, it's not even a gift. It's just normal, right?
Yeah.
It feels that way to you, but to others that look at you, they see so much more. And I like that you brought up that sort of not enough, because, you know, one of the things I've really been immersing myself in over the last year or so is really understanding the quantum and how it works, and realizing that what does and doesn't exist, like we're conditioned, like you said, by this matrix of how things are, but enoughness isn't actually a thing. Like, we are perfect souls, like perfectly imperfect, however you want to look at it, but like, just, we are consciousness, and there's no enoughness about it. The sense of enoughness comes from like trying to somehow prove that you're worthy of something, right? Somehow feeling like you have to earn or prove something, and that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. The way the universe works, it's what do you choose? What's your desire? Like, it's not about having to prove or earn anything. Everyone is already enough.
I love that. Yeah, and it's about remembering who you are, not trying to improve yourself to become something more or this ideal. But when you actually strip the layers and connect with your heart, when you really sit and drop in, you'll actually feel this empowerment, this magic, this beauty, this connection to your being, your ancestors, your soul across lifetimes. And that's when you'll know, like, I am so much more than just this name or this human body or this lifetime.
Yeah.
And you will connect to that aspect of yourself that does remember, that holds the wisdom, that holds the gifts. And the more you let yourself become that, or feel into that, or identify as that versus the limitations or your old self, the more you'll start walking through the world as that, as your higher self, as your soul embodied. Yeah.
Letting go of the identities, the external identities. Like, we are not the things in our life. Like, we're not the labels. We're not, you know, this physical appearance, the stuff we have. We are not those things. They are part of the life experience, but they don't define who we are, right? It's the heart, it's the soul, it's the essence. That's who we are. That's the truth of who we are.
Yeah.
Is there, I guess, one last little message or something you'd like to share or say that you just want to share?
I have so many messages, but this thought to share, this kept coming up, and I'm like, that's a little weird. Don't go there. But
oh no, share the weird. Go there, girl. Go there.
Because you brought up the quantum. Here's another example that ties into what we were talking about not predicting or knowing what your soul expression is going to look like as time goes on. I had this channeling session with an amazing woman, and just tuned into my heart and soul. And this vision came up, really fleeting but powerful, of me in an outdoor amphitheater, like a garden, kind of New Earth like amphitheater. And I was sharing the story of humanity's awakening and the story of how we got to where we are as a species, and the story of this human emotion and struggle and love and all the things that are so unique to this embodied experience. And the crazy thing was, and she told me, it's like, you're not just speaking to humans, you're speaking to other beings, other dimensions, other experiences. And I thought, oh my gosh, this has gone crazy. Like, what? But the message behind that is really, as a soul coming into this body, you came to experience the highs and lows of the human experience. You came to remember how to come back to love and come back to your heart, and how to triumph and really grow. And that itself, like being in the human experience, is such a sacred, such a special experience. And there's so much to share, even just telling the story of what it's like being a human. If you imagine, you're putting it out there in the universe, or as a fingerprint of, we were here and this is what we did. And it just made me remember, like, how big it is that we're simply alive, and what we're going through. It's massive. So yeah, give yourself that gift of seeing yourself and honoring yourself in your journey. And also know that it can lead to something super crazy and wild we can't even imagine.
I love that. And, when you just talked about, the vision of being in this other place, I mean, something that really has changed my world is really understand, and we're so conditioned by this, but understanding that in the quantum, there's no time. All moments live in this moment. And even though I understand it in some deep ways, there are certainly moments where I fall out of that, right? Like, it's very hard to be present all the time. But here's the thing, if this is the only moment, and it's all the moments are available right now, then it's actually something in my meditation this morning that came up for me. So it's like, how do we jump timelines, right? How do we jump timelines? Like, it's all available. And so when you're tapping into that, it's like that moment is existing right now, but it's just, it's another moment, right? It's another moment, but it still exists in this moment.
Yeah.
I know that maybe sounds confusing for a lot of people,
I love it.
Yeah. But, I love that. I love that. I can totally see you doing that, I can totally see you doing that.
But the thing is, we all, as humans, it's like our souls are in awe of us for what it took to be in this dense experience of emotion and duality. And yeah, we have so much to share simply from the experiences we've had in our life. You don't need anything more outside of you for wisdom that can be, like, it will take all the books in the universe to fill. And with this timeline thing, it's so cool, because I believe in our sleep state, we're actually tuning into other aspects of our soul and other dimensions, and you're creating. So maybe it's also happening now, only it's another aspect of your soul, or quote unquote future aspect that's happening in another timeline now. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, I love that. I think we could go down a big rabbit hole if we continue. So I think maybe we should wrap it up on that beautiful note. But thank you so much for sharing that vision. I mean, this could go anywhere. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing your beautiful, wise words. In fact, I could just listen to you talk all day. There's very mesmerizing about your voice. And like I said, your words, even your written words, if any of my listeners are not following her, you have to go follow her. It's a must at ashmi.path on Instagram. It's amazing. And her book is incredible too. And that is available on your website.
Yeah, the first edition sold out, but I'm doing the second edition and an audiobook. So practicing channeling my voice into my words.
Yeah, I love that. So these will all be in the show notes. The links will be there, but her website is Ashmi Pathela.com. So you can go there and find all the things. All the links will be in her Instagram as well. And you must follow her for beautiful words daily.
Thank you so much, Susan. I really appreciate you
Thank you
and
so
the light
much.
that you're sharing. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been beautiful. Thank you.